Imagine you're on a first date. Everything is going well. The conversation flows, there's chemistry, and suddenly, by accident, you spill a bit of coffee on the table. Awkward silence. You think, I blew it. But the curious thing is that, in many cases, that little mistake doesn't make you look worse. It makes you look better. Yes, you heard right. Making mistakes can make you more attractive. Today, we read diving into a psychological phenomenon, as surprising as it is encouraging, the Pratfall Effect. A bias that reminds us that absolute perfection doesn't always seduce. Sometimes what truly captivates is showing our humanity. The Pratfall Effect was discovered in the 1960s by social psychologist Elliot Aronson. In a classic experiment, Aronson recorded a group of students answering general knowledge questions. Some did it perfectly, almost flawlessly. Others also did well, but at the end they made a clumsy mistake, like spilling coffee on their shirt. Later, observers were asked, who seemed more attractive? And surprise, most chose the competent person, who occasionally made mistakes. Why? Because that little flaw made them seem more real, more approachable, more human. In contrast, absolute perfection felt intimidating, distant, even cold. Think about it. Have you ever met someone so perfect they almost seemed from another planet? Charismatic, intelligent, physically attractive. But something felt off, as if you couldn't fully connect. Now imagine that same person one day stumbles on a step or messes up a joke. Suddenly, they feel more relatable. That's the power of the Pratfall Effect. And here comes the controversial part. We live in a society obsessed with perfection. Social media filled with sculpted bodies, dream lives, flawless smiles. Everyone retouching, editing, filtering. But what if that effort to be perfect is actually making us less attractive? What if, instead of inspiring love, we're creating distance, mistrust, even rejection? Imagine a politician who never admits a mistake, knows everything, controls everything, never wrong. Doesn't that feel suspicious? In contrast, the one who admits a fault with honesty, who laughs at themselves, often gains sympathy. The same happens with leaders, artists, influencers, and with us in everyday life. In fact, this effect explains why some comedians who make fools of themselves on stage are so charming, or why a celebrity tripping on the red carpet gets positive headlines instead of negative ones. Because they remind us that behind the spotlight, they're still human. The Pratfall Effect can also change how we see our own insecurities. Many times we hide our mistakes thinking they devalue us. But in reality, if we're generally competent and capable, those slip-ups can increase our attractiveness. But here's the key: competence. If someone already seems unreliable or unskilled, mistakes only confirm that impression. But if someone shows ability and also allows themselves to fail, they become irresistible. Let's bring in some everyday examples. At work, imagine your boss, always impeccable, perfect suit, calculated speech. One day, the microphone breaks and they crack a clumsy joke while fixing it. Suddenly, everyone sees them as more approachable. In friendship, that friend who always wins at everything, from video games to sports, one day loses a match in the silliest way. The shared laughter makes them even more beloved. In love, that person who seems unattainable, gorgeous, confident, makes a funny mistake on the date. And instead of pushing you away, it makes you feel more connected. But beware, the Pratfall Effect doesn't mean you should go around making mistakes on purpose. Pretending to stumble or faking clumsiness doesn't work, because authenticity is key. It's not the error itself that attracts, but the vulnerability it conveys. And here is a reflection that might make you uncomfortable. Do you realize that many times we reject people for their flaws, but at the same time, we're more attracted to them when they show imperfections? It's a fascinating contradiction. That is why this bias is so powerful. It reminds us that what truly connects us is not perfection, but authenticity. In the end, what makes the Pratfall Effect so irresistible is that it frees us. It tells us we don't have to be flawless to be liked. That being human, with mistakes, clumsiness, ridiculous moments, is not only acceptable, it's attractive. So next time you mess up, instead of feeling embarrassed, remember, that little slip might have just made you more charming. And you, what do you think? Do you believe showing imperfections brings us closer to others? Or that society still punishes mistakes too harshly? I'd love to read your opinion in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, share it, subscribe to the channel, and tell me what other psychology and curiosity topics you'd like us to explore together.